Ever since the 9/11 terrorist attacks on the United States, the public support for the use of torture interrogation has grown. However, I will argue three main reasons why torture should not be used by the US government and why it is not an acceptable way of gathering intel. First, the idea that torture doesn't work. Second, that it violates our moral high ground. And third, that it undermines our legitimacy as a nation. Firstly, the argument for torture is irrelevant and should stop as soon as we realize that torture doesn't work. The biggest argument for torture is the ticking bomb scenario. While the utilitarian approach of sacrificing one for the lives or possible lives of many would win this argument, it doesn't fit torture. Torture assumes that the person in custody is in fact the right person. It assumes that the person has the needed information to stop the ticking bomb. It assumes that the interrogation techniques don't result in success. And it ultimately assumes that the use of torture will result in gathering of useful information. That seems to be a lot of assumptions, backed up by professionals who claim that torture not only doesn't work, but that there are other interrogation techniques which do work, and actually better. So even if we do assume that we do have the right person with the right information, torturing someone will not give us reliable information. Balai Soufan, an FBI special agent with experience interrogating Al-Qaeda operatives, states that when they are in pain, people will say anything to get the pain to stop. Most of the time, they will lie, make up anything to make you stop hurting them. That means the information you're getting is useless. The Senate report on the CIA's detention and interrogation program in 2013 actually found that terrorism doesn't work. The report states that the torture provided no intelligence of meaning to the CIA, quoting, fabricated information resulting in faulty intelligence. And the CIA's very own interrogators assessed that the most effective method for acquiring intelligence from detainees, including from the detainees that the CIA considered to be the most high value, was to confront the detainees with information already acquired by the intelligence community, not torture. This shows us how irrelevant any argument for torture is if it doesn't work from the beginning. However, for the sake of those who would argue the use of torture might possibly work, even if the evidence shows otherwise, there are more than enough moral and ethical arguments that should stop us. The first one being that it violates basic human rights. Torture is a barbaric and dehumanizing technique that uses humans as a means to an end. It violates the basic idea of human rights and dignity of the victim. It violates their right to remain silent, which is a basic right any detainee within the United States has and very well should have. As a nation built off of the ideals of liberty, tolerance, and the rule of law, we cannot sacrifice our principles regardless of who the victim may be or even if it has the potential to save lives. Secondly, the use of torture undermines our nation's legitimacy. As a nation who prides itself on being of moral high ground, we cannot violate human rights and still expect to be, or to be seen by those globally, as a nation of morals. As Obama says, torture corrodes the character of a country. It makes us quite hypocritical to accept moral authority on the planet and condemn others of breaking human rights, while our very own government colludes and approves of torture. Along with losing legitimacy through the lens of other nations, we also lose legitimacy to others who have the possible variable of becoming a possible extremist and terrorist. The use of torture is used by extremist organizations to justify their cause and incite violence. When pictures of the CIA torturing inmates went viral, extremist organizations used it as a recruiting call, skyrocketing their recruit numbers. Along with that, it lost support for the government in Syria, for example. People do not approve of torture, especially globally. Therefore, because torture doesn't work, it violates our moral high ground, and it undermines our legitimacy as a nation. Torture should not be used by the US government and is not an appropriate way of gathering intel.